Good morning. I'm going to talk about demographics. It's the statistical study of populations. Yeah, and this is about France. I told you that Sweden is changing. Yeah, and France is too, very much so. And I'm just going to talk about the change now, and then we can discuss whether it's good or bad, right? So this is a paper from this economist, fund manager and political commentator. His name is Charles Gavet. He's a Frenchman. And he published his conclusions. Yeah, he talks about the disappearance of the European populations as native populations shrink and Muslims continue to exhibit a robust fertility rate. He acknowledges that his unpolitically correct view may bring him scorn and possibly censorship. The paper is called The White Plague, and he says it's dangerous. It's dangerous for my personal respectability and my chance to be heard in our beautiful democracy. So, let's get into the numbers. He assesses that France's white or native birth rate is at 1.4 children per woman, compared to a Muslim rate of 3.4 to 4 children. And France's population today is 67 million. And they don't do this, in France they don't do this census of ethnic origin, but based on outside polling, some researchers, they find that the French population is already 10% Muslim, with 6.7 million people. So the official birth rate in France is 1.9, but Mr. Gavet's calculations put the native rate at 1.4. Overall, the European birth rate is a low 1.6. Mr. Gavet looks at these numbers, and there is a declining white population and a growing Muslim population, and concludes that France will have a Muslim majority by 2057. And he says within 40 years at the latest, it is almost certain that the majority of the population will be Muslim in Austria, Germany, Spain, Italy, Belgium and Holland. Right. And he says it's not predictions but calculations. And he does not even call for new immigrants. So they are not included in this. He says the pace could be accelerated given continuing Muslim migration into France and other Western European states, either through regular legal processes or through refugees escaping conflicts in the Middle East and North Africa. And he says the immense news of the next 30 or 40 years will thus be the disappearance of the European populations. And then he says this: I do not say it will be wrong or it will be good. I'm simply saying that this will be very different and that this will necessarily have an influence on the political system. Right. And then there are some uncertainties. There's the Gatestone Institute, who looked at this paper from Mr. Gavet, and they did not agree with all of it. They said it will not disappear. The French population will not disappear in the space of 4 decades. It will take more than 40 years for them to vanish from the surface of the earth, they said, from the Gatestone Institute. Another problem with Mr. Gavet's projection is uncertainty. What Islam in Europe will look like in 40 years is difficult to predict. Yeah. And then there's also this thing with abortions, right? We have a lot of abortions in Sweden. I did a video about it a long time ago. But abortions in France have surged in recent decades. Government statistics show that 204,000 abortions were performed in 2015 in France, compared to 760,000 live births. Wow. And he says, bluntly put, Europeans are not making babies anymore, he says. And this has nothing whatsoever to do with Islam. This malady is entirely self-inflicted. Right, and then it says, across Europe there are signs of the coming Muslim majority. Muslims make up nearly 50% of primary school children in the Belgian port city of Antwerp. A quarter of Brussels' 1 million population is of Muslim origin. Right. And then there is a mention of Britain. The Daily Mail said that the Office of National Statistics reported that the most popular boy's name in Britain in 2015 was Mohammed, or its variant spellings. So, let's talk about this. Is it good? Or is it bad? Is it true? Is it false? What is this? That's all. Alright. Bye.